Old Hillbilly Joe here. How y'all doing today? I thought I'd give you another good story. And, I just had to share this one with you, too. I shared the story about the snake up in the mountains of California. I shared the story about the wild grapes up in South Carolina. Well, now I'm going to take you to Spain. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take you to Spain. Out there in the desert. Now, I forgot the name of the desert out there in Spain, but hey, sometimes you can't remember all the different names that people give in this world to everything that they want to name. Okay? But anyway, keep following along here with me. Okay? Now, I went to Spain, and I was out there in the desert. Well, as time was going through the desert, I was going through the desert. And we were walking along. And I noticed this tree out there in the distance. Okay? But I was out there visiting some of these old buildings that they had out there in the desert of Spain. And I started looking at the buildings. They were made of clay, limestone looking like stuff. They were old buildings that people used to live in out there in the desert. It was quite interesting, but anyway, we're gonna go toward the tree. Let's start walking toward the tree. Out there in the distance, I saw this little tiny tree. Well, your eyes play tricks on you. When you're a distance away from an object, you're far away from that object. The object looks small. But the closer you get to that object, the bigger the object gets. Now, if you think about it, I'm looking out there in the distance and you see this mountain. And you saw this mountain way out there in the distance. The mountain looks pretty small, but when you actually get close to that mountain is huge, okay? But anyway, let's get back to the story about that little tiny tree out there in the desert. Well, I started walking toward that tree, and then the tree got a little bigger. Once I finally got to that one little tree out there in the middle of the desert, I look around and there's no other tree but this single little tree in the middle of the desert. Well, when I got to that little tree, I noticed there was nuts. There were nuts on the ground. Well, come to find out, when I looked at these nuts on the ground, they were called almonds. Yes, this was an almond tree in the middle of a desert in Spain. Now, I looked at the almonds when I picked up the nuts, and they were yellow, almost like a teardrop candy shape with little holes in it. Well, I looked at the nuts and they were ripe. They were dry, they were ripe, and yes, I went around and I gathered up a whole bunch of almond tree nuts, almond nuts, and I put them in my pocket. I love putting things in my pocket. If your pocket is empty, that means your resources for survival is empty. Anyway, now I picked up these almond nuts, put them in my pocket until we got to where I wanted to get back to the camp, okay? Well, I pulled out these almond nuts. I had 2 big pockets full of almond nuts, and I shared them with everybody. Everybody said, "What's that?" I said, these are almond nuts. Remember that little tree in the middle of the desert out there in Spain? I told them these are almond nuts, so I shared all these almond nuts with a couple friends while I was out there in the middle of the desert. And they were like, wow, amazing, you can eat these? I said, yes, you just gotta break that hard shell off. And inside this hard shell is an almond nut. Now, almond nuts taste really good. I like almond nuts. It's one of my favorite nuts. Now, there's a lot more nuts out there that might be favorite for you, but you know, macadamia nut, walnut, almond is a nut. But anyway, we're getting a little nuts on this video here, and I know there's lots more nuts out there like peanuts and stuff like that. You're thinking about other different nuts, peanuts and walnuts and macadamia nuts and alright, enough about nuts. Alright, old Hillbilly Joe signing off till next time.